It was an eye-opener for me to read this book because of the amount of work that's involved in taking in not only cleaning up your public profile, but also maintaining that layer of anonymity with different sources. I don't think that most people are going to be willing to do this, but for the people who really do, or think that they might have to, I think the lesson is you might want to start before you get into that situation. Now, if you're a public figure, or you're somebody who may be doxxed in the future because of the way that people perceive you online, you may want to read this book, pick it up and thumb through it and see, what can I do now in order to build out that wall?
Right. So does he mention anything about like other third-party services that I could go to and say, hey, I want you to go, whatever, clean up or do this for me? Because it sounds like it's a lot of work, right? I wonder if anybody's started up a business based on that.
What you learn from here is that it is an ever-going, it's a constant battle, a constant struggle to do it. And I think services to do this, I'm not aware of any, but I think that they would do very well, even if all they did was buy this book and then provide the actions that are outlined in the book as a service to somebody. It would probably be valuable to a pretty fair number of people.
And does it talk about things beyond just your internet presence, but like you mentioned mail, how to control some of that aspect or get off of these lists and whatnot where you get all this junk mail all of a sudden, and or like the phone stuff where, what do they call that database where you want to get off the do not call me list or whatever, that stuff, which doesn't seem to work very well, but I still get phone calls. But in any event, does he address any of that other type of kind of peripheral stuff?
There's some interesting stuff, and I personally assume that if it's in a database, the database is on the internet. It's probably not a true assumption, but it's close enough to reality. But there are things in there that he talks about if you want to start making large purchases, if you want to buy a car or a home. There are legal structures you can use to anonymize that purchase. So you buy it as an LLC, it shows up in databases as owned by the LLC and not an individual. Things like that are discussed in the book.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I've seen people do that on occasion, so interesting.
And things like setting up a post office box and setting up yourself a Google Mail account, a Google Voice account, for phones. So if you want to have a phone number that you give out widely, and then it just becomes a voicemail box where you can sort of screen who talks to you, you may want to do that.